On the 18th of April, the people of Newcastle will be electing a new Lord Mayor. The issue is, what are the real concerns? In my opinion, the biggest problem we have in Newcastle, we are yet to find, in reality, our leaders who are actually being able to be servant leaders. A Lord Mayor should be a servant leader. That is, a person who is out there to serve the community, to make sure the community is being served in all the capacities that the local government can do. The local government can obviously do many things, including one of the things they can do is to see where there's a need and lobby the state government or federal government as required to see that these things are actually dealt with. We actually have a transport system that is not functioning in Newcastle. In reality, if you want to have a transport system work, the things you need to do is to make sure there's a connection between all modes of transport and that those that are supplying the transport are having these good connections. Some years ago, I spoke to the then minister at the table about a plan to actually improve the Newcastle public transport. After 45 minutes presenting a plan to her, many things, it was Gladys Berejiklian, after presenting my plans to her and all that, the only thing that the minister chose to do is to have those buses that went near Broadmeadow Station actually turn up at Broadmeadow Station and drop people there. That was a vast improvement, but it's a long way short of what it should be. As I explained to her, whenever you have public transport services, particularly in a city where there are greater than 20 minutes between the services, you only pick up a very few passengers. The more you bring it down to 20 minutes or even below, you increase the percentage of people that will catch the public transport. And a good transport system will actually unclog our roads because people will choose public transport if it is affordable, reliable and consistent. It needs to be making sure it gets good connections between all the transport modes. We have a brand new station, which is at Newcastle, with the new system they have in place. The only transport connection there that is a close connection to there is the tram. And I'm sorry, we should have buses as well stopping very close to it. But because of the configuration of how they made it, the buses do not get very close to the station at all. You need to make sure that the transition works very well so that people are confident they can get off of one mode of transport onto the other and not have to wait some time for the next mode of transport. We need to work hard. We need to do a better job. And it's a job of the local government to understand these failures and to push hard with the Minister for Transport to sort things out. Our current private operators are not doing a very good job. We had two ferries in Newcastle to make sure that we were able to cover peak times and also any breakdown. But what happened? For quite some time, one ferry was out of action because it was failed to be booked in for a service that needed to be done by cleaning up, by defouling the vessel. And so we ended up having occasion when, with a minor breakdown of the other ferry, what happened? The people in Stockton had to wait and catch a bus. Now, the difference between a ferry service and the bus service. The ferry service is around about a 5 to 10 minute journey to over a half an hour journey by bus. Now, the problem we have also with that ferry service is it just goes across the harbour. There are people who live some distance away from the ferry wharf at Stockton, and they could be well and truly serviced by another ferry stop at Stockton North. And of course, there are people who live at Fern Bay, and there has been developments at Fern Bay would be more convenient for them to be able to have a ferry ferry wharf at Fern Bay. I would be encouraging the state government to investigate these two possibilities to extend that. Because the ferry service historically in the past did service BHB, it did service Carrington, it serviced Wickham as well. And it's about time we actually had the service effectively doing something more than just running between Stockton and Newcastle. As vital as a run between Stockton and Newcastle is, there's a lot more places it can go to as well. And we need to expand the service. It needs to be regular and it needs to be well and truly maintained. It seems to me that the private operator, for whatever reason, has been historically unable to perform the function in a proper and a meaningful way to improve public transport. Since the private operator has been operating the service, transport numbers are down a lot. Reliability is down a lot. And as we see these buses driving around, we see very few people on board. Whereas a time when I did drive the buses, there were many times that I needed to go and head to Charlestown for an overflow service because the buses coming in from Belmont and Swansea were in fact overflowed, which demonstrates the failure of the system, because nowadays there are hardly any people travelling that way. We need to fix our transport system, and you need to have somebody at council who believes that they should push the government hard on making sure we do better. We need to have at least 3 ferries in Newcastle, 1 on standby, 2 operating all the time on an extended route. We need to have our bus services working better. They need to make sure they connect with all other forms of transport, and that the bus routes are actually able to, people are able to move from one bus route to another to be able to get to their destination without waiting a considerable time for the next service to turn up. There's a lot we can do. It's not rocket science, but it's something with a practical hands-on experience that I have, that I believe that I could help the minister to make sure the system works far better. So when it comes to the 18th of April, vote 1, Milton Caine, independent, for Lord Mayor, Newcastle.